Hey, so I know assessments can feel overwhelming in your first year, especially trying to figure out what's formative versus summative and when to use each of those. I've definitely been there, so I want to break this down in a way that's practical and actually useful in the classroom. Let's start with the basics. Formative versus summative assessments. Formative assessments are low stakes, ongoing checks for understanding. Think of them as tools to use during instruction to see how students are doing and adjust your teaching in real time. These aren't usually graded heavily, or if at all, and they're more about guiding learning than measuring it. Summative assessments, on the other hand, happen at the end of a lesson, unit, or semester. These are more formal and are used to evaluate what students have learned. These are typically graded and tied directly to standards and learning objectives. So the big difference would be that formative is an assessment for learning and summative is an assessment of learning. When you're selecting assessments, it helps to ask yourself, am I trying to guide instruction right now, which would be formative, or am I trying to measure what students have learned overall? That would be summative. Formative assessment examples for a history classroom. Let me give you a few examples of what you could use. You could use exit tickets. At the end of a lesson, ask a quick question like, what was one cause of the fall of the Roman Empire? You can incorporate this in the last 3 to 5 minutes of class. This helps you immediately see who understands the concept and who needs more support the next day. Think, pair, and share would be another good example. You can ask a question like, do you think economic issues or invasions were more responsible for Rome's fall? Students think individually, discuss with a partner, then share. You're informally assessing understanding by just listening to their conversations. Quick writes or journals have students respond to a prompt for 5 minutes, like how did geography impact ancient civilizations? This can be done at the beginning or middle of a lesson. You can skim responses to identify misconceptions and adjust your lesson pacing. Technology-based things are also a good example, like Kahoot or quizzes. Use a short quiz during or after a lesson. Students really love the game aspect of that. And then you get kind of instant data on who's getting it and then who needs a bit more help. And then you can immediately reteach a concept if most students miss a question. Document analysis. That gives students a short historical document and ask guiding questions. This helps you assess critical thinking and interpretation skills in real time. The key with all of these is that the data helps you decide the next move. Do you need to reteach? Do you need to review? Or can you move on? Summative assessment examples, again, for a history classroom. Like a unit test. This could include multiple choice questions, short answers, and essays. It assesses overall understanding of a unit, like ancient Rome or the Industrial Revolution. Research project or presentations is also a good one. Students might research a historical figure or event and present their findings. This assesses deeper understanding and skills like analysis and communication. DBQ, which is document-based question essays. Students analyze multiple sources and then write an argument-based essay. This is great for assessing higher order thinking and aligns well with standards. These are typically given at the end of the unit or a major topic and then provide a more complete picture of student learning. Checking for bias in assessments. We'll take the DBQ as an example. A potential bias could be that students with stronger reading or writing skills could ultimately perform better, even if they understand the content. Also, students from different cultural backgrounds may interpret sources differently or struggle with unfamiliar contexts. To adapt to this, we can provide vocabulary supports or sentence starters. We can offer audio versions of documents. We can allow students to respond through alternative formats like a recorded explanation instead of a written essay. We can include diverse perspectives in the documents themselves. This helps ensure you're assessing historical understanding, not just reading or writing abilities. using data for remediation and enrichment. Once you have this data, the real work begins. If students are struggling, reteach the concepts in a different way. Use videos, visuals, group work, pull small groups for targeted support, and then provide guided notes or scaffolded activities. If students are excelling, then you can offer them enrichment like deeper research topics. You can let them lead discussions or debates, or you can provide extension activities that connect to modern day issues. Technology can help here too. Students can create videos explaining concepts, use tools like Google Slides or Canva to present learning, record reflections on what they understand and what they still need help with. This gives students more voice and choice in how they demonstrate learning. And then applying a learning objective. Let's say your learning objective is students will analyze the causes of the fall of the Roman Empire. A formative assessment could be an exit ticket, asking students to identify and explain one cause, and then after reviewing responses, you might notice students are confused about economic factors, so you revisit that the next day. A summative assessment could be a short essay where students argue which cause was most significant and then support it with evidence. After both assessments, it's really important to involve students in the process. Have them review their answers, reflect on what they got right or wrong, set goals for improvement. This builds ownership and helps them become more independent learners. For closing, at the end of the day, formative assessments guide your teaching and summative assessments evaluate learning. When you use both effectively and adjust based on your students' needs, you'll see a huge difference in engagement and understanding. And honestly, don't stress about getting it perfect right away. Assessment is something you refine over time. We got this.